has already talked about BMC's story around ADE, Autonomous Digital Enterprise, and how BMC is helping organizations in India as well as globally across different verticals in turning themselves into ADE in the next 2 to 3 years. Let me bring another perspective, and I'll share my screen because I have some interesting content that I have prepared, where I'm going to talk about what are the key tenets when anybody wants to become a digital transformation leader. And for anything to happen, the first thing that we have to look at is the challenges. That if I want to become a conqueror, what is it that I need to conquer? So let's first look at 3 specific challenges that any organization has to encounter and conquer in their journey towards digital transformation leadership. The first challenge that BMC has seen organizations dealing with is related to IT operations management, which is related to a tenet of transcendent customer experience that Sunil talked about earlier. Any organization in India or globally is eventually in the business of delivering a product or a service. And what matters the most as an end customer is that that product or service is always available to me whenever I need it. And I get a top-notch world-class experience while accessing that service. Therefore, as an organization who is providing that service to the consumer, it is super critical for me that my products and services are always available, are error-free, are free of any possible fault. And therefore, I need to encounter and conquer these 3 challenges over here, which means 90% of the problems that I see on a daily basis are actually noise. They are not true problems. The true problems are only 10. And most of the time, as an organization on a digital transformation journey, I am dealing with issues which are not really the issues that I need to spend time on. And I need to find out 10 out of 100. So I need a capability to be able to identify and clear out the noise. 2, every organization, and more so in the last 2 years or so, is facing tremendous amount of cost pressures. We all want to be profitable while giving a transcendent customer experience. And to be profitable, one is on the revenue side, we need to acquire more customers, we need to expand our base. But on the cost side, we need to contain the money which is being spent on unprofitable or unsustainable activities. And that is where 30% of money that organizations are spending today purely on digital maintenance can be recovered. And that is where a challenge comes in that needs to be countered. And the last is that most organizations, while dealing with digital assets, are going through a tool sprawl. Because they have too many technologies, too many tools inside the organization to deal with. Some have come because they acquire different organizations that they have come in. Some have come because natively they have grown. They have kept on investing into a lot of technologies which are not talking to each other. So these challenges make it very, very difficult for any organization who is on a digital transformation journey to emerge as a leader. The challenge number 2 is on the service management side, which is more internal. Now, when I as an organization is serving thousands of employees, it is important for me that these employees are in a very healthy state, because through them, I am delivering a product or service to my customers. If my employees are not able to, access different services, IT and non-IT, in a seamless manner, my capability to keep a healthy workforce, my capability to contain attrition, my capability to have a stream of employees who are charged up, motivated, and delivering appropriate services to customers is going to go down. Therefore, the service desk that I have created internally in my organization has to be of top-notch quality. The speed with which I am able to respond back to IT or non-IT issues should be very high. As a management, and most of the leaders who are there today in this forum, one thing which is very important is that what is the health of the services that I'm delivering to my internal and external customers? If my employee experience is not good, am I able to capture that employee experience? Do I even know that what my employees are currently facing, and am I able to solve those problems first? And finally, am I able to generate a return on investment on the all the cost and the investments that I have made in the last year or so? So if I'm able to get answers to these 5 questions, That only then can I say that from a service management side to my employees and through my employees to my customers, I have achieved a maturity that will help me become a digital transformation leader. Third and the last challenge that organizations are facing are with regards to automation. Now, we all talk about automation in most of the talk tracks, right? But what is required is to connect what you see on the left, which are the users, auditors, operators, administrators, and what you see on the right, which are the end user systems, ATMs, online booking platforms, payroll systems, claim processing, etc. And between these two, there are plethora of technologies. And you see very renowned names over here, which are used by all of us and practically every organization on a day-to-day basis. The problem is that the left to right has to traverse through all these different technologies which do not necessarily talk to each other. And this leads to tremendous complexity that has to be dealt with by every organization on a daily basis. And if this complexity can be dealt with effectively with the minimum manual interventions, that is when we bring in automation, and that is when we are able to emerge as a digital transformation leader. So with these three challenges behind us, now we need to see how do we solve them, because solution to these challenges take us to where Dr. Singh talked about the 24 organizations who have actually countered them and are today the leaders that we are looking at. So BMC's way of countering these challenges like this, we have an approach with which we work with all our customers and see that they become the leaders that they want to be. First and foremost, we look at their entire journey with regards to where they are on their digital setup. It's data centers, public cloud, private cloud, and we start setting up layer after layer digital initiatives that help them understand their infrastructure.
This meeting is being recorded.
Which starts with discovery of all their assets and building up something called a common database, which is CMDB, leading to a platform where they are able to monitor the services that they're delivering to their end customers. For example, a bank, when the bank is delivering a service, we as consumers are going to net banking and accessing that service. It is important for the bank to monitor the performance of the net banking service, because for me, if the net banking is not working, my experience is impacted. If my experience is impacted, bank's business is going to get impacted. And you relate this experience from bank to an e-tailer, to a manufacturer, to a pharmaceutical organization, to government, this experience stays the same. The end customer should not get impacted with anything related to performance, availability, or fault tolerance of any particular digital service. Therefore, monitoring that platform is very, very important. And while doing so, taking care of different third-party monitors that every organization has built or acquired is super critical. Eventually, we are talking about every organization in the digital journey having a single pane of glass management with which they can manage and monitor every single and using these single pane of glass management interfaces, they deliver some key capabilities such as predictive AI ops. Now, Gartner coined this term, which is basically analytics driven IT operations. And this is so critical that allows any organization to proactively understand a problem before the end user has actually seen it, which essentially means no business disruption. If you look at the top platforms in the world, look at Google, look at Amazon, look at many others that we work or use on a day-to-day basis, there are minimal downtimes that we see. And that is because these organizations today are actually leveraging frameworks like AI Ops to ensure zero downtime, to ensure top-notch customer service. Then comes cost and capacity management, which essentially means that every organization is able to identify the assets which are not being utilized and able to contain the investment that they need to make by first leveraging what they already have, which means if I have assets which are lying unutilized, for example, servers, network storage, etc., then I do not need to keep buying more. I can better utilize them, and which will help me bring down the cost of IT operations. Then comes security. Now, in the autonomous digital enterprise framework that Sunil talked about, there is one very important tenet which is called enterprise security. And that is where we look at things like compliances, that in every industry sector. For example, in banking, we have Reserve Bank of India giving compliance policies to all the banks. In case of insurance, we have, Insurance Regulation Authority, and we have in government we have certain, so on and so forth. So there are different regulatory bodies in our country who are giving policies which every organization, government or private, need to abide by. And those compliances can be obtained by building a very robust SecOps framework that we as an organization help our customers to do. Then comes, endpoint management. If we reverse the clock by 2 years, suddenly with the COVID outbreak and with our Prime Minister announcing, the lockdown, everybody was working from home. Even today, we were talking about that how that work from home has actually created employment all across the country in small towns. But what it brings with it is its own risks, which means the laptop and the desktops that our workforce uses, they need to be secured, they need to be managed. And that is the tenet that brings over here endpoint management and ensuring that those assets are fully compliant with the regulations coming from different regulatory bodies. And the last comes the business automation, where we're talking about bringing in automation across different batches, different jobs that run in any enterprise organization, thereby enabling them to cut down the manual interventions, cut down the delays that lead to a business service. So for example, I as a customer, if I need a birth certificate for my child and I go to a government portal, can government confirm to me that within 24 hours a birth certificate will be delivered to me? If I as a customer need a checkbook from my bank, can the bank confirm to me that within 48 hours a checkbook will be delivered to my home address? And for that to happen, there is tremendous amount of automation which is required in the back end, which curtails and orchestrates every single process across different divisions, different departments, different organizations to ensure that overall SLA is met. This entire digital transformation framework is then brought into an orchestration layer so that there is minimum manual intervention and everything is running in a seamless fashion. So this entire approach is what we call a cognitive service management, or in a different manner, a digital transformation approach that BMC has created. And we are working in the ADE framework that Sunil talked about to help our customers become the digital transformation leaders. So for us, to showcase this, we have a state-of-the-art program called Executive Briefing. We have, a Executive Briefing Center in Pune, where we host our customers for half a day or a full day, and we take them through a journey of how BMC has achieved this digital transformation leadership internally, and how many of our customers, and many of them are across the 24 names that Dr. Singh talked about, have achieved digital transformation. So if anybody in the audience is interested to come and experience the digital transformation at BMC, we are more than happy to host you at our Pune Executive Briefing Center. And you can reach out to my colleague Kishore, who is our country marketing manager. These are his contact details. We'll be very happy to set up one for you. So with that, I thank Dr. Singh and Kuej and this esteemed audience for giving us this opportunity. And I certainly hope that with the initiatives that we are taking and with the transformation agenda that we are running, all our organizations will eventually become an ADE in the next 2 to 3 years and achieve the digital transformation agenda and the objective that we are all laid up for ourselves. Thank you, Dr. Singh, for this opportunity. I'm very glad to participate and present.